Let's talk about public companies that bought Bitcoin. Well, they're now getting worried. The craziness of public companies riding the Bitcoin wave as an increase in value caused many of their stocks to jump even more than the increase in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies as well. I want to include those too. But now that Bitcoin has pulled back from its all-time high of slightly over $126,000 and it has dropped about 20%, well, those public companies that bought Bitcoin are seeing their stocks drop far greater than the decline in Bitcoin.
Yeah, this past week we actually did see it dip under that $100,000 mark.
And 99,000 something.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty substantial decline. As you said, about 20%. Now, roughly 25% of the public companies that bought Bitcoin as a treasury strategy now have a market cap valuation below the total value of their Bitcoin value. What companies were doing was they would, and this cracks me up, invest in Bitcoin, then sell their shares at a premium as their stock increased in value due to all the hype around it. Then they would take those proceeds they got from selling their stock to turn around and buy more Bitcoin. Now that Bitcoin has declined, though, there's no reason for crypto buyers or traders to buy those stocks, and instead it looks like they have been selling them.
Yes, and as an example, Clean Core Solutions is now down, listen to this, over 80% since investing in Dogecoin, and even a larger player like Japan's Metaplanet, which is a top 5 publicly traded listed Bitcoin holder, has seen its stock decline around 60% over the last 3 months. Now, if Bitcoin were to continue to decline, the company could be forced to sell assets, which could cause even Bitcoin to fall even further on top of that.
And so far, this hasn't necessarily affected the company and their strategy, I'll say, who started this craziness of buying Bitcoin in their treasury. And of course, I'm referring to the company MicroStrategy, which changed its name just to Strategy, and still trades under the symbol MSTR. And the thing you have to understand is really all this company does is buy Bitcoin. And maybe that's why they changed their name to Strategy, is because it's a Bitcoin strategy. It's not a business.
Right. Yeah.
That's all it is. And when you look at Strategy, it owns roughly 640,000 Bitcoin. And at today's price, it's worth roughly around, I'm going to say that $65 to $70 billion range. And obviously Bitcoin's quite volatile, so it can move around quite a bit. But we'll say around 65 to 70 billion as we're talking today. It is estimated, though, that Strategy's average purchase price for Bitcoin is $74,000. So they seem to be safe for a while until they start dipping into that break-even / negative territory. However, stock investors in Strategy are probably crying the blues since in July, the stock was around $450, and as of today, it trades right around $240. That's close to a 50% decline.
Yeah, and I know with the strategy, that they said, oh, well, the reason why you buy us is because, you can trade options on it, you can do margin on it, you can do a lot of different things, but it's never made sense to me to buy Strategy because of the Bitcoin, and it's getting hammered. And as we've said for years, no one really knows. I don't care who they are, what the direction Bitcoin is going. I'm sure you have many people, I know where it's going. They don't. It could be up or it could be down. But one thing is for certain, if those companies that bought Bitcoin and pushed the price higher now need to sell, well, that will probably cause Bitcoin to fall even further because they're going to supply demand. I mean, if the demand's not there and the supply is increasing, the price of Bitcoin will fall further. So we'll see what happens there.
And this is the problem with a lot of these cryptocurrencies, is when you look at all the craziness that goes on there, not just even talking about, the individuals owning Bitcoin. We've talked in the past about the leverage on these cryptocurrencies. Now talked about these companies that have bought Bitcoin. That leverage and these companies buying Bitcoin is causing the price, or has caused the price, to go higher. But on the downside, if all of a sudden companies go, oh my gosh, the strategy is not working for us, and as you said, they have to turn around and sell it, well, then that causes it to go lower. Now you add the added layer of leverage. Oh my gosh, now people are getting margin calls. Now they have to sell. I mean, you could see this thing fall so quick. You would have no idea what hit in the face.
And I think it was last week. It was either a newsletter we talked about on the radio show about the leverage, not here in the U.S., but around the world, where sometimes it'd be 100 times what you're paying. If that starts collapsing, wow, step aside because there's going to be some big drops there.